The most intense preseason game you're going to see this year thanks to Max Brosmer's late game heroics. Vikings come up short, though, on the final play versus the Pats. Final score, 2012. We're breaking it all down. But first, let's check in with the crew.
What's up? I'm Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings. I'm a Brosmer bro now. I'm all in.
Ron Johnson, I'm glad Luke's got his bromance. Hey, I'm still rolling the boat. I was hoping for a touchdown, but hey, he threw for over 150 yards, so that QB3 spot might be his.
Miles Price, get in the end zone.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Viking Squad Show immediately after the Vikes-Pats preseason game number 2, providing you with all the instant reaction. We got stock up, stock down, some depth chart dominoes. We're going to preview the week ahead in Tennessee with those joint practices, plus Max Brosmer's spot in this quarterback room right now. It's all happening right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Remember, you can always find this show on audio if you want to listen right under the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast feed and on video, of course, up on our Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Keep up with all the action. So close to 10,000 subscribers, by the way. All right. Before we kick things off, fellas, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com. 50% off your first year. Ron, I always like to kick things off with you. You're batting leadoff here. Max Brosmer turning into Tom Brady when preseason games are on the line, I guess. 4th and 17 hits Jayshon Jones with an absolute dart for 25 yards. Last shot down at the Patriots 12-yard line. Just walk us through the play and kind of your take on how things ended there.
Yeah, so when you think about Max Brosmer, just period, I think Miles Price should have been the touchdown. And it's funny, I interviewed Miles Price. We'll air that either next week or the week after next. But Miles Price brought up his connection with Max Brosmer, how well they've been practicing together, how good he is. The fact that Miles Price has not been covered in one-on-ones in practice. So all the stars aligned. And even before the play, I called it. I was here in the studio. I just showed up. I left the stadium. And I said, you know what? This is a Miles Price touchdown. Miles Price almost made me look like a genius. And he wasn't ready for the ball. I don't think that was a drop. I just don't think he knew the ball was coming, because the way Ben and Pete and PA tried to describe it, you would think that it was just a drop. No, he kind of late got one hand up. I don't think he knew the ball was coming. That's why he did the my bad, because Max tried to jam it in there. And if he was ready, that's an easy catch this way, scores. Big Ten to Big Ten, and now, you know, the fireworks are going off, and it's a 20-20 game, or, well, they got to go for the 2-point conversion, but potentially a 20-20 game. And, you know, we'd be celebrating Max Brosmer. I think we're still going to celebrate him, but I just wish it had gone down differently. There were other plays, and we'll talk about that within the game, that a lot of players were dropping balls, false starting, just wasn't helping out the case for Max Brosmer. Our guy Leroy Watson, I was a little bit ashamed at some of the pass protection he had there, getting absolutely walked back to the quarterback and then just getting run by. I mean, it just did not look great when you're behind Walter Rouse already. I don't know if he's making a case for that 9th or 10th, you know, lineman spot.
Yeah, Luke, you know, it's obvious, you know, the topic right now, fresh after this game just ended minutes ago. Max Brosmer, 100.
Is that Bryson Nesbitt got job? Yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah, we can get on that. But, you know, when I think about this quarterback room, Sam Howell was lights out last week, 11 for 13, 105, 0 sacks, rushing TD. This week he comes out 1 for 5, 13 yards. How much, I guess, do you have to take into account when a guy like Max does what he does again for the second week in a row, drives his team all the way down in the fourth quarter, 2-minute drill? But he's going up against a third team, right? Versus Sam Howell, who struggled today, but he's going up against guys who clearly are a little bit more experienced and a little bit more talented as well.
Yeah, he's going against the third team, but he's also working with the third team, right? He's got Leroy Watson in front of him, like Ron said, who's catastrophically bad. He's got, you know, wide receivers running into each other downfield when he throws the right pass. He's still got to deal with all that stuff. So I like that 4th and 17 hitting that dig. I think that was to Miles Price, if I recall.
I thought it was
Jayshon Jones.
It was Jayshon. But hitting that in a big spot, under the gun in a hurry, 2-minute drill. I really wanted to see that. I wanted to see something a little more challenging. And, Howell has a horrible day, right? And he throws up that dumb interception. He can't complete anything. Also suffered from some dropsies. But the big difference to me, I thought today was all about QB3. And the big difference to me between Brosmer and Rippon was that Rippon never did the hard stuff. He threw screens, he threw stick, he threw the easy stuff. And that was the same thing last time. They called a lot of screens for Rippon and only Rippon. Brosmer had one screen. I think that was the first time anybody who wasn't Rippon threw a screen. And in that 2-minute drill, he had to do tough stuff. He had to get out like that, just that check down in the end zone, getting the ball to Trey Stewart in some trouble, not taking a safety, getting positive yards, getting back up to the line so that we can go for it. All that stuff looked really poised, really nice, and it makes me way more open to the actual QB2 conversation than I was last week after Howell had that really good game. I think Howell's bad game opened the door. I don't know if anybody quite was consistent enough because Brosmer had his mistakes, right? That interception in the end was pretty rough. And some that KOC actually called out on the broadcast and just some, detail stuff, but not the kind of stuff you would see, this rookie is totally underwater. No, it's detail mistakes, little stuff that matters. But I think he's earned an opportunity to make the third preseason game about, are we doing this?
Yeah, you can say he's going against the threes, but it doesn't matter if it's a third string or fourth string defensive tackle who's at your feet. If you can make an on-target throw under duress, as he did a couple of times, that's impressive to me. If you can layer in a clutch throw in between defensive back to convert a first down, that matters to me. Hitting guys in rhythm, in stride, like the play that got called back. If you're watching the broadcast, Miles Price has the illegal procedure. Well, Miles goes out and runs a good route, and Max makes a great throw, and Kevin O'Connell's on the sideline mic'd up saying, "Great job, Max. Excellent job." Like, that was a great throw. A lot of good things that we saw throughout the game. Kind of a fearlessness at the end, knowing he had to make throws downfield. I mean, I don't know if QB2's locked, but it feels like QB3 very much is locked for Max Brosmer.
Ron, you and I did the Gophers post-game shows, the postcast all year last season. Obviously, Gophers alum, you've been on the Brosmer train for quite a while now. What were the traits when you sat and watched Brosmer last year for the Golden Gophers? What were the traits that made you say, you know what, he's checking a couple boxes here, and he may have the goods to go be a backup in the NFL? What are you seeing right now translate from his Gopher days in college to now what you're seeing through 2 preseason games?
Growth. So if you look at that first game of the season, and he said it was bright lights. He wasn't used to 55,000 people being in the stadium, plus national TV, Thursday night ESPN game. That was a lot from a kid coming from, a small school that did not have that type of, outing. And then you move on through the season and he became a guy. Like if you watch that Michigan throw to Daniel Jackson, where it's him or nobody, and Daniel Jackson somehow makes that catch. And I've asked Max about it, I've asked Daniel about it, I've asked Elijah about it, everybody. I mean, every Gopher possible I could talk to, I've talked about that play, and everybody says the same thing. Like, I can't believe he made that throw, and I can't believe he made that catch. And so when I saw that, I'm like, that's a big time next level throw. Like to stick a post in there on the far side, hash, coming back to the other hash, looking off the safety. I think, that showed me that. Then you look at the Wisconsin game, you look at a couple other games, and I text PJ Fleck this morning. PJ and I were texting back and forth about Max, and PJ kind of hit the nail on the head with the 3 Ps. He's precise, he's patient, he's poised, and he has the ability with his leg. He said he uses his legs just as much as he uses his arm. He said where some quarterbacks are real arm heavy and they're trying to jam balls in there, and it's all about arm talent. It's like, well, Max has the arm talent, but he also marries it with his legs. And we've heard Dan Orlovsky talk about that. Can a quarterback marry his feet with his shoulder and his eyes? And Max seems to do that. If you watch that deep ball throw early on, I think that was to the left to Tim Jones on the fade. Like, he just kind of turns and throws. And that's the same throw he threw at training camp at joint practice. Like, he trusts that if the guy's in his face, he's going to throw it. And I love, like, bringing up the broadcast. One, KOC did drop an F-bomb. Sorry, FCC.
Beautiful. Awesome.
I'm
More
pretty
of
sure
that.
that fine will go to KOC, hopefully, and not to the broadcast. But
Not a Ron's
that coming out of my check. Yeah, do not bring that out of my
Right.
check. Send that to
That's
KLC.
his.
He's got millions. He'll probably just get a pink little letter, a warning.
It was a
But he said
justified
he does have
F-bomb.
he said he still
Justice.
has his jacket from when he worked on TV. So I'm pretty sure they still have him in the catalog list of people to email. But he brought up that Max Brosmer's throwing guys open. He throws up before they break. And that's huge in a rookie because he said a lot of rookies, even himself, sometimes you want to make sure this guy is open and you throw the ball. And honestly, day one of joint practices, that's what it felt like JJ McCarthy was doing at times. He was waiting for the receiver and then he would throw it. And then on day two of joint practices, JJ McCarthy was letting it go. But Max Brosmer seems like he's trusting it. Kevin O'Connell said he has full command of the offense. That's huge. To say a rookie quarterback has the full command already of the offensive playbook. I mean, you could see him checking, you could see him alerting, you could see him retelling the tackle or the guard who didn't get the call. You could see him telling the tight end, like tight end look back, like, wait, what? And he's telling him again, like he's kind of like he's not like, oh, screw, forget, I gotta snap the ball. He's poised and he's like, let me make sure everybody knows what they're doing so this play can be successful.
Yeah, we'll get to stock up here later on, but Max Brosmer, definitely one of the big winners from today's game. Seems like he's entrenched with that quarterback 3 and should make this final 53 when it's all said and done, too. A huge day, preseason game 2. You know, no J.J. McCarthy. He kind of shredded up the Patriots in joint practices Thursday, so his work was done, but a huge day, a huge game for a lot of the second and third teamers, as we know. I'd like to start just with the defense, who actually went up against Drake Maye and the Patriots starters for the first 2 drives and kind of held their own. Drake Maye, 4 of 7, 46 yards, held them out of the end zone. Who stuck out? Just shout them out. Who stuck out there? Or what was your guys' impressions, I guess, of the depth of this defensive unit versus the Patriots starters?
The tackling sours a lot of it, right? I mean, the secondary,
which was a lot of the same people all day.
The run force was abysmal. We had, culprits wearing the numbers 25, Hilassi. We had McGlothern missing tackles, Jay Ward. I mean, and Jay Ward also had some good ones too. But I thought the only guys that really showed up and flashed were some of the backup defensive linemen, the guys that are lobbying for that final spot. We saw Taki Taimani make a number of plays. We saw Elijah Williams make a number of plays. Elijah Williams probably on the outside looking in right now, but definitely high on the practice squad. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins is making this team, and he made some plays as well. And you know what? We didn't see I don't think we saw any of Jalen Redmond, any of Levi Drake Rodriguez. Is that correct? Which would be
inactive.
Redmond probably inactive. Levi Drake Rodriguez hurt his ankle in the joint practices, so he couldn't go.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan Harris and then Tyler Batty were out there.
Yeah.
Jonathan Harris. Big fourth quarter for the preseason fantasy from Jonathan Harris.
I thought the backup defensive line did well. I'd have to watch a little more closely. I thought Zamiah Vaughn had a good game. My guy, Zamiah Vaughn. Kobe King, Ron, played the whole time. What did you think of Kobe King? He was flashing with the yellow sleeves out there. I thought he was in the mix a lot.
One of the big ones I saw, and Sam, it's funny, all the guys you named, so Elijah Williams, Taki Taimani, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, and Gabriel Murphy. I'll take a picture of this for Twitter. Those are the guys I circled. So those are the same 4 I had that, because what I kind of do is I do checks during the game. And then when I go down to the under the tunnel, I can get some of the like deep stats. And so I just kind of take notes from those guys. And those literally are the 4. I mean, I swear, people, I will take a picture of this. Those are the 4 people I have underlined in purple. The other one was Kobe King. Honestly, Mekhi Blackman didn't do bad. Like, Mekhi Blackman was there. He just was like a half second late on like the swipe, but he was always right there. He never looked like he was out of place. Him swiping the ball was kind of the one thing, and that just comes from probably not getting a ton of reps. But he was always like right there holding on to a guy, right there in the guy's hip, but then the ball would still get completed. It's like, dude, just go for his hands. Like, I don't know what you're looking at, but Mekhi Blackman, I did like his feet in that, coming off of an injury. But no, Kobe King, the one play I saw, I think it was early on. It looked like just a run fit. He kind of shot the gap and met the running back in the hole. It was a hard hit. You could see the guys on the sideline were geeked up for him. We could hear, because we had the headset in for some of us, we would grab it every once in a while when KLC was on or another person was on just to hear, and you could hear people yelling because it picks up sideline conversation, and you could hear people yelling like, yeah, Cole, like So you could tell they were pulling for Kobe King. And his mom told me ahead of time he knew he was playing the entire game. They told him they were only going to have 4 linebackers. So he mentally was ready to go for this entire game. And you could see it from first quarter to fourth quarter. That kid with the yellow sleeves were flashing around. I was hoping for it because KLC brought it up, the tip potential interception. Freaking 37 had it right in his lap.
Javier Thomas, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, dude, if that was a spear, he wouldn't be able to have kids right now because that would have decapitated his whole junk would have been gone. Like, dude, just catch
Decapitated
the ball.
his junk.
Oh my goodness. Like, that was the
That's
one
what
play where I
preseason's
was
for,
like,
though.
but that's the play they needed. I think if that play happens, you pick off Drake Maye, it's maybe a totally different game. Like, I think that the confidence level of Drake Maye goes down. I think the Patriots start to doubt themselves. Mike Vrabel brought it up. Kevin O'Connell brought it up. If Vrabes wasn't happy with some of the joint practice stuff, that's why he sent those guys out there. Maybe you send them going back home a little bit still concerned. I think he kind of knows, like, yeah, Drake Maye can get it done. But we also know the Vikings, a couple of those guys can't catch. But I was hoping my guy Kobe King would have got the interception, but your guy Javier Thomas just dropped it.
Quick question for the Lukes before we proceed. Does Blackman playing as much as he did and Okuda getting the day off, is that an indicator? Is Okuda locked in? Is he your CB3?
Oh, I think he's been locked in.
Yeah,
I think we already knew that.
This confirms it.
Yeah, it feels like Makai is more with Dwight McGlothern and Zayma Ivan, who they love apparently in that mix, in that second tier versus that first tier, which I think we went into the summer assuming Makai Blackman would be. Anybody. Let's actually move on. I did want to just give more flowers to Elijah Williams. Luke, you called him out last week. If we're just talking about keeping the best 53 guys, Sam, to your point, he is on the outside looking in just because Flores has so many bodies stacked, but so many young bodies stacked back there. But Elijah Williams, man, I don't think he makes it on your practice squad. I think he gets sniped. I have been shockingly wrong when it comes to kind of predicting that guys aren't going to make your practice squad when it's all said and done. But Elijah Williams, the past 2 weeks, not just this week, but last week as well. I don't know how it all shakes out, but if you're just keeping your best players, I believe Elijah Williams deserves some love and spotlight. Luke, agree or what was your take on
a big thing today? Well, so when I did a 53-man roster on Friday's Locked On Vikings, and I ran into the same problem I've been running into all offseason, which you get to 50, 51 guys, and you're like, I don't know now who. Yeah. Well, why not keep a 7th DT then if Elijah Williams is that good? If he's good enough to be rosterable, why not, right? You got the room for him. You're not cutting anybody else for him. You're just picking a special teamer. But I think a big one for today was that the Patriots played their ones, and we saw the D-line work pretty well against those ones. There was a play early. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins gets a long arm into the center, who I don't know who that was. I don't know who's that center. But walks him back, puts him on his rear end. Drake Maye overshoots it, and that's what turns into what almost was that tipped interception. And Elijah Williams got in on that as well later in that series, and that first series ends up being a punt, ones versus Vikings twos, and not all of the Vikings twos, with a Kobe King coverage on a wheel route. So all those guys, I think, like the fact that it was against the ones means a lot more to me. And the whole thing about Elijah Williams last week was, well, that was just the threes. Well, not this time. Now we've seen it against somebody else, so let's keep seeing it. And I think you can really start to pose some tough questions. It really sucks for Levi Drake Rodriguez that he was hurt for this one. Yeah. While Taki had a little bit of a better game, had a really bad pass rush rep in there that won't look very fun in the film room tomorrow. But a couple of nice penetrative, TFLs, especially later in the game. Elijah Williams does his thing. Jonathan Harris even gets some late in the game. So everybody's kind of vying for that spot, and you can't make the club in the tub. The guy who's hurt can't make any arguments for himself while everybody else out there is. I think it got a lot more interesting in that D tackle room. And I think the third preseason game is kind of even Steven, go out there and see who plays.
I think it's important to note that people are going to see Jalen Redmond and LDR, Levi Drake Rodriguez, did not suit up for this, but two different reasons, right? Redmond's got a job locked up. Okay. But don't assume LDR didn't play because he had the ankle, like Luke, you pointed out. And we'll see if that comes back to haunt him in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, you don't control your injuries, but nonetheless, again, just a lot of competition knocking on the doorstep. Ron, I just want to go back to the secondary real quick.
Ron's gone. Ron had to bounce.
Ron bailed. Sam, you brought it up, just the secondary as a whole, talking backups, obviously, but Jay Ward, no doubt about it. He's your safety 4. I thought he looked like a young backup safety today. Flashed a little bit here and there in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Run support, not great. Nehemiah Vaughn, though, showing off some of that length, man. Long, lanky. Yeah. It makes me think back to Thursday's show when we talked about Alec Lewis, maybe knowing what he's talking about when he had Vaughn over Dwight McGlothern in his final 53 projections this past week. Do you guys feel like maybe that's not a foregone conclusion by any means, but he is the front runner if they had to pick one of those two guys?
It feels like those are still CB5, CB6. I haven't seen anybody emerge to threaten them in that way. I feel like they can both be on this roster. I wouldn't put McGlothern off, but I think that Vaughn is certainly even or above him. I thought Vaughn today, I have to watch it more closely to watch his pass pro or his pass coverage reps a little closer, but the tackling is great. And on a day when everyone else in the secondary stunk at tackling, Nehemiah Vaughn stood out. And if you college highlight reels can be deceiving because anybody can cherry pick good plays, but it stands out in the Nehemiah Vaughn college highlight reels. Like, this guy can pop you. Like, if there's an open field opportunity, more often than not, Nehemiah Vaughn is going to make solo tackles. And I think we saw that again today. We saw it in preseason game number 1. And I didn't feel like he got overly exposed, but I would have to watch maybe some more of that Efton Chisholm III stretch to see who he was victimizing.
What happened there?
The operative letter today was
dynasty target there. Deep everybody. Trayvon Henderson, first round running back. No. Deep dynasty with the Chisholm there. Lots more to get into. KOC still in the show on the mic today. Plus, more players who improved their stock the most. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment. So easy to lose track, isn't it? Well, that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your own personal CFO. Monarch Money gives you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money, it's not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You track all your accounts, all your investments, spending. It's all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. I know when I started using Monarch Money, I realized how much I was spending on streaming services. I had them all: Apple TV, Disney Plus, Hulu, you name it, I had it. But now I budget smarter and I save more than ever. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your entire first year. So can we just jump straight to Coach's Corner? Because maybe the A topic outside of Max Brosmer, all the depth chart battles. KOC going on the mic, live in-game on the sidelines, chopping it up on the broadcast, talking shop with, PA, Lieber, Bursic, that entire third quarter. That was a thing of beauty, man. That was art. Inject that right into my veins, because that outside of Brosmer at the end, that might have been the best part of this game in my eyes.
That was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool to see, that was like a really bad stretch for the Vikings offensively, including this disaster series where you get a delay of game and then 2 bad sacks. And then there's penalties on the punt from 4th and 35, like this horrible sequence. And you could tell KOC just wanted to light guys up, but he's on the mic, so he has to be nice. And he's just holding back and just sort of trying his best to calmly explain what's going wrong. He sees the illegal shift and goes, "Oh God, you can't do that." And then he sees,
he saw it so quick too.
See what's going on downfield and saying, "Oh, we got it! Oh, we got the sack!" Knowing what's happening, I felt like I so much better understand what happened on those plays and whose fault it was, and how things move beyond that. It was awesome.
Can I just say too, as an all 22 watcher for the past 5-6 years too, but then also going to games live and just. I always come back on the Monday show after I go to a game in the regular season. I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like I missed so much. It's just so hard to tell when you're there. Even more impressive knowing he's on the sideline with that. You don't have the bird's eye view. You don't have that 5D view. You're right there on the sideline. It's just tough. So much going on, especially as a head coach, knowing that you got to organize the offense, defense, the whole thing. So yeah, Sam, your thoughts? I mean, something just hits different when you got your head coach on the mic talking about pre-snap strategy and play calling and game decisions. I just thought that was A+ quality television there.
We saw a man slowly die inside on a hot mic. That was that third quarter.
was
like
it,
the first half was already gave him enough to go, gray. And then he comes out start of the third quarter and he's trying to be upbeat for the broadcast. You can tell he's mustering the energy. Yeah, we got a little bit of sloppiness. We got to do a few things better. And then his soul slowly left him as he watched illegal procedures and he watched poor protection and he watched special teams blunders. Somebody missed a block. I think he was really holding back to call the guy out. Somebody missed a block on the edge for Xavier Scott that was supposed to spring him. It was awesome because I think last year when he did this, it was actually going pretty well, and it really enabled him to kind of be excited and enthusiastic. This was an even more interesting glimpse into the things that bother a head coach. And it's cool because you get tipped off, right? You know exactly, he knows where the play is supposed to go. Then we know where the play is supposed to go. We can kind of watch for it. And then if it doesn't go to plan, we understand why he gets upset. I thought it was really, really interesting. And the man was not hiding his emotions well. He was upset. Like, I think the post-game address, the film tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be pretty for a lot of people, whether it was like the offensive line not protecting well at all, the secondary not tackling, special teams miscues. We had a fumble on a punt return. We gave up a long kick return. Like, all three phases had a lot to pick at, and the offense didn't find the end zone today. Like, Will Reichert, good job, 4 for 4. Other than that, a lot to pick apart, and I think we got a very calm glimpse, with the exception of the F-bomb, into Kevin O'Connell's psyche.
Can that be the future? Can that how long? I mean, obviously there's logistics that you need to figure out, again, like the play calling, things like that. But, the MLB did this. They started to do this a little bit. They started interviewing guys live in games. They did it. Golf as well. I mean, I'm picturing Rocco Baldelli chopping it up with Corey Provis about Kalen Culpepper's bat speed, Sam. Like, you can picture it, right? Like that again, it was the highlight of the game, I think, for a lot, not just us, but I think for a lot of fans and a lot of people, a lot of fans of the game, of the NFL, getting that inside look that we've never seen before. I mean, there's so many inside looks and cameras and hard knocks and so much stuff, but that is like one of a kind. We haven't seen that yet. So I hope in some way, shape, or form that is in the future works, even if it's a decade plus down the road somehow, some way, because that inside look, that feel on the sideline, getting inside the head coach live in game, that was just unbelievable. We talked quarterbacks. How about the running backs? Ty Chandler, I don't know if they're just trying to showcase him for the league, pulling a Brian Asamoah a little bit, trying to do him a solid, or if he's still really in a fight here with Xavier Scott. But Ty Chandler, I thought, had a decent first drive, did some good things, had some good reps and pass for all that, and then the next series, not so much either. So don't think he really moved the needle either way. Meanwhile, Xavier Scott, he just looks more complete. He just looks like the more complete guy back there. Stout, strong, good hands, good vision. I think it's just a matter of if they're going to be able to trust him in pass pro on third downs, like a lot of rookies coming in at running back. But my money's still on Xavier Scott over Ty Chandler now through 2 preseason games. What do you guys think?
Braun, I'll give you this one.
I think Xavier Scott has outplayed Ty Chandler for sure. What I'm trying to think back to is I don't think I ever clocked any pass pro reps one way or another for him, which was kind of a thing last week.
I thought Scott had at least one really good one. I could be mistaken.
Did he?
I thought,
okay, cool.
I was impressed by Scott on one particular rep.
Ty Chandler got one in that first drive against the ones. It was Milton Williams on Joe Huber. Williams wins that one, and Ty Chandler kind of cleans it up. Good for you. But yeah, Xavier Scott has been, I think, decisive is the word I keep thinking. Like, he's really not dilly-dallying back there in the way that like Trey Stewart kind of does, where he's still kind of reading and it's slow. You have to basically have your decision made by the time you get the ball, the way that these with the speed at which these run plays develop. And it seems like he's doing a good job of that. This is another thing for me though, where like I get to 51 on my roster thing and I go, I don't know, I guess I'll keep Ty Chandler. Like, who are you cutting him for? I think keeping 4 running backs is totally a possibility too. But there's not really a lot of necessity for him if you do feel like, man, okay, but we do have to keep Miles Price here because of those returns, or we do have to keep Elijah Williams. I could see Ty Chandler being one of those luxuries, or maybe the kind of guy that maybe gets traded week 3 to make the roster spot, or cut week 3 to make the roster spot for Jordan Addison when he returns.
There's a lot to like about Scott in the passing game. Let me just say that. Pass
For
protection,
sure.
maybe
all
the
those
jury's
screens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He reminds me a lot of watching. Remember Philip Lindsay, the old Broncos back, who had a really good stint with Denver for a few years, and I think he's out of the league now. But I remember he debuted against the Vikings like 2019 or something, and looked really, really good. And he turned out he got a spot on the Broncos and was their RB2, and then occasionally their RB1. Like he had a really good stretch. I kind of see some Philip Lindsay in Xavier Scott, the way he runs, hits his gaps, good vision, good pass catching. Like he's giving you the whole package that you get with Ty Chandler, may be better, and you've got him cheap for the next 3 years because of that contract. I feel like that even if it's a tie, you're going to go with the young guy, Xavier Scott.
How much more do you guys need to see from Will the Thrill to calm your nerves a little bit? I think he's back 8 for 8 now. 2 preseason, get 6 for 6 on field goals. Drilled that, 54-yarder today, I want to say. Confidence is back, right? We're good.
Sure.
We're good on Will.
He handled
that's not the specialist we're watching, I don't think.
Yeah, we got a holding situation to watch. I thought Will handle his long field goal better than Borogali for the Patriots trying to kick from 57.
God, that was a shank.
that was my golf swing yesterday.
Good day for John Parker Romo. He biffed the one kickoff, but the other guy shanks the one real bad. You make all yours.
Yeah, JP Romo's getting that job.
Good move for our San Antonio Brahmas legend.
Ryan Wright still with a big leg up on Oscar Chapman, it would seem as well. I think when it comes to special teams, nice. The special teams conversations, though, I think it all really starts and ends with these return jobs, right? Like I'm kind of clueless. I don't know. Ty Felton with a fumble on a kickoff today, had one punched out. I guess, and that's kind of all meshed in, it feels like, with this messy wide receiver room too, right? 4 through 6. Do they keep 6? Do they keep 5? Jalen Naylor, I think, hurt his hand on Thursday, it sounds like, which kind of only makes matters worse. Bad timing for that. Obviously lost Rondale Moore last week as well. Lucky Jackson, Ty Felton still feels like your 2 next guys up, and then maybe a tier and maybe a little drop off. But you tell me, did anybody else turn some heads today? Make you rethink this depth chart, both that receiver and the return game, though, as well?
We got to seriously consider Miles Price.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the Silas Bolden dream is dead at this point.
Was he hurt? I mean, he was horrible anyways, but yeah.
He was in the game.
Oh my God, he was? Yeah, but he
was
eligible
because he was
to
play in the game. He was on the field. So I think Silas Bolden's out of it. I think that Miles Price, as strictly a returner, has an avenue. And he's shown, so this was an absolute Miles Price roller coaster of a day. He has an illegal procedure, and then on the same play runs a great route, makes a great catch. There were like 3 occasions where he had no clue where to line up. Like his head is spinning. I don't think we're going to see him 1 rep 2025 season on offense, but as a returner, there's something there. KOC spoke super highly of him on the broadcast, heaping praise on his ability to make the first guy miss. Then he shows it to us on at least 2 returns. One of them went for about 20. One of them goes for 81 on the kick return. I wish you could get in the end zone there, Miles. Come on, man. Preseason fantasy. Let's go. But we went through this on the football or the squad show earlier in the week. You've got a complete question mark. Like your wide receiver 5 is literally anybody on the roster could have that job. Why not Miles Price? Bron, any reason that it couldn't be Miles Price?
He made a great case for himself today. I still think outside of Miles Price, I think Brandon Powell might be the next most likely guy to get that job.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think he had a good enough day. That stupid illegal shift, that sucks. But I think he showcased a lot of reason to put him on the roster. And as the returner, that's great. Here's the other thing, though. I kind of think both those jobs just are Ty Felton's. I don't know if Miles Price is taking it away. So great, you showcased value as a returner. But if you're not going to actually do the job, it only goes so far that you get to be like the backup returner. And like, are you even going to be, dressed on game days? It gets a little harder to do that. But because of what you said, Sam, just the lack of kind of anybody else making a push for that spot. Yeah, like who else? It's going to be Jayshon Jones. He drops 2 a game. Like Lucky Jackson had a bunch of drops today. Even he, I thought, kind of didn't quite lock in the spot as much as we thought it was going in. So yeah, why not?
Let's bring Thielen back. A day 3 pick.
Bring Thielen back.
Let's go.
Bring him home.
How about that starting offensive line, by the way? Let me pull it up real quick. I know Henry Bird at left tackle, Joe Huber at left guard, Juergens at center, and then you got Brandel and Rouse on the right side, respectively.
Brandel and Rouse look good.
Yeah, any information there to glean? Just having essentially, what do you got, 4 guards essentially in the mix there that get the nod, the starting nod. And also, too, Luke, I know you're a little bit better at honing in on the trenches live in game. Any of those guys catch your eye right away?
So I thought Juergens had a pretty good game. I thought Vershawn Lee had a pretty good game. And I think I saw some L's from Joe Huber, a much different day than it was the first time.
And a penalty.
Really fascinating to see Henry Bird out to tackle. I don't remember them doing that in other preseasons. I could be wrong because they did shuffle guys around a lot. But not a great sign for your Logan Browns and Leroy Watsons that they would rather kick their guard out to tackle in the first half of that preseason game. I think with Bird, I mean, he's been in this organization for a few years, kind of quietly, just trucking away on the practice squad. But once you get to your third, fourth year as a P squad, whoever guy, and you start to count toward the amount of veterans on the practice squad, then it starts to be a lot harder to justify keeping them around versus the young guy like Joe Huber. I think that's all just, fighting for practice squad slots. I don't think any of these guys are cracking Rouse on the roster. And it's also informative that Justin School did not play, even though I kind of think Walter Rouse is coming for his job. He was in a healthy inactive. So looking at it all together, I don't think a lot of movement happened. I think a lot of priors were confirmed, but it is, I think, just at tackle, it's just very clear that there's really not going to be any serious challenges for those jobs that School and Walter Rouse had, even though those guys are playing fine anyways.
I mean, think of it this way. It's very easy to come up with a 9 in your 53-man roster for offensive line. You get easy 9. Juergens, Brandel, Rouse, School are your backups. I think there are many more intriguing flex options elsewhere than trying to squeeze a Vershawn Lee. I love Joe Huber too. Even trying to squeeze Huber on, I would probably rather keep someone like an Elijah Williams, or someone who's going to do
nobody's
a lot.
Rising. Nobody's stepping up. There's no cream that's rising to the top here. They're just kind of
those
all
guys
just meshed together right now. Yeah,
those guys. Nobody's watching those guys and going oh man, we got to get Joe Huber on the 53. They're going to claim him on the practice squad. You can get those guys to the practice squad. They're fighting with each other over those spots, and I think that's where the intrigue is.
Speaking of Elijah Williams, stock up. What other players? Just shout them out. Any other players that boosted those Madden ratings again? Anybody with some momentum? Again, Elijah Williams, Zayamiah Vaughn, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. I think Kobe King. That was Ron's guy before he headed out. Who stood out? Who kind of flashed in a good way today?
Ty Felton as a receiver. Couple really good plays. The punt return fumble not good.
The tip,
the concentration catch.
That was insane.
Randy Moss has a highlight like that, doesn't he? Where he tipped it up over a defender and
Randy Moss, Ty Felton, same player.
Week 1. Yeah.
And then he had another good diving play as well. So Ty Felton, the receiver, like that. And Tim Jones, a couple nice grabs too. And
unfortunately for Ty Felton, though, really rough start on special teams with the fumble. And I think he made a blunder as a gunner, gave up a big, he lost contain, gave up a big return. So that also matters for him, but it's not like his roster spot. Nobody's making any decisions for him. This is, to me, still feels a little bit like a redshirt year for him, where he just needs to kind of learn the ropes and the speed of the game. I don't really know how much movement I can find because there's really only 10 roster spots that were out there on the field today. And they all played fine. I think it's that DT room. And I'll shout out Zayamiah Vaughn too, who I thought had a pretty good game. And with him and Blackman, to circle back to that, Blackman who struggled. But what's important to remember is Blackman is right now he's backup Byron Murphy. And Zayamiah Vaughn is more like backup Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah. Mekhi Blackman playing inside and outside, and they don't really have Zayamiah Vaughn doing that as far as I saw. Probably means that we're not going to get anything too spicy going on there, but it's also doesn't really determine, you don't really order them. Which guy goes in case of injury depends on which guy goes down, because they're just playing different, very outside corner, inside corner, very different positions.
Stock neutral. Do we know, is the tight end 3 on this roster? Like, has anyone done anything ever to try to?
Nick Vannett had a rollout.
I think Vanette's locked it up. I think it's a done
For what
deal,
it's
man.
worth, Urasek started the game, and Vannett was the tight end 2 to start the
I thought
game.
Ricci
That
started the
tells
game.
you. I don't think Ricci started. I think that was 45.
Nah.
But a lot of blocking and stuff. Unfortunate that Nesbitt couldn't get that touchdown at the end. That would have been a good play, but he made a couple plays at the end too. But I think he's pretty buried on that depth chart. I think it's still probably. It looks like they still favor Urasek. But hey, Nick Vannett, make a couple plays, be a veteran. We can trust you. You know how to play football, do the thing.
I think
You're
that's
not
why
going to be
he's
the
got
best
the edge.
athlete.
Yeah,
but
I think they brought in 2-3 young guys and tight end. Man, it usually takes even some high draft picks 2-3, sometimes 4 years. You look at Josh Oliver, completely transformed his game in Baltimore over 4 or 5 years. KOC brings in. He's used to again the best tight end 3 in the league. Brings in a bunch of young guys. Now he's got a vet. He's not lighting the world on fire, but at least he knows what he's doing. He can block, inline, chip, do all those things, and then obviously roll out and catch the ball as well. I think Vannett right now, and I'm not saying he lit the world on fire today in preseason game 2. I just think if I'm KOC, that's probably who I'm leaning towards as of today. They could still bring somebody else in. But stock down. Anybody who just had another game or is like, dude, I'm not going to be surprised if you end up getting cut next week.
I'm trying to think through who I didn't.
I'm trying to
already
think who we
think
haven't
about.
touched on.
I'm
yet.
just thinking like that secondary past Jay Ward, right? It's just a grab bag of dudes. In a lot of, again, missed tackles today, a couple dropped interceptions. They're just it's a grab bag of dudes back there. And there's not one guy differentiating from the other for me in these 2 preseason games.
Yeah, super quiet preseason and camp from Tavier Thomas. Like that's a veteran who may not make it.
That sucks to not get the tip drill for him because we got 2 other guys who did, and those guys are getting cut anyways. So it's like you've got to get the tip drill if you're going to really push for that roster spot.
Like the guys that were struggling to tackle in the secondary. I mean, I do think that matters. I think that if Dwight McGlothern can't tackle, that's going to hurt him on special teams and defense, right? Like he's going to be a special teamer. He's got to tackle people. So that matters. Hilassi is kind of a non-factor. I don't think the 2 interceptions are moving the needle for anybody. I thought it was kind of a weird day. Like Braun said, like a lot of the dudes that were kind of vying for spots, they kind of just stayed the course. I don't know if we had anyone really emerge and try to make their case. I thought Tim Jones, kind of flipped a little bit of his fortune from preseason game number 1. He's probably in the mix as well. But stock down. I mean, did we really get into the Howell and Rippon throws that they made at times?
Yeah, Rippon did fine, but he didn't have a degree of difficulty. Howell stock down for sure. Terrible game.
Yeah.
Terrible game from Sam Howell. And then Max Brosmer has a second half that you feel okay.
I think
it is the Howell experience.
30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Like you're gonna have a good game,
right.
You can have a good rep, you can have a bad game, you can have a bad rep. I think.
But when you have a bad game, when you play one quarter, it's a bad quarter. It opens the door. Yep. Or when you don't play, like I'm still thinking, in a sort of indirect way, stock down Levi Drake Rodriguez. He didn't play. Other guys played well. Suddenly, you're that much closer to losing your spot. And with Howell, you have a bad game, it opens the door. Rippon didn't do anything to step into that door. Brosmer, I didn't think did anything to step into that door until that last drive. Now I'm rethinking it going, okay, you showed a little bit in a 2-minute drill. If it's late in a game, JJ McCarthy has been beat up because we're going up against a good D-line. He's been sacked 6 times and he twists an ankle. He's got to go out. Game-winning drive. Now you've shown that you can keep your cool in that situation where we might need to call on you. Then it makes me a lot more willing to consider him as true QB2. I still think something pretty surprising has to happen because it's the Sam Howell experience, those kinds of bad games. We know that, and they've already decided that they're okay with that just by the way they constructed this roster. But he's making it hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think they regret? Do you think KOC regrets not bringing back somebody like Nick Mullins? Just having that quote unquote veteran. Like, I know he's limited, but
I don't think he wanted to come back. I think Nick Mullins was ready to move on.
You think it was more
Sketch
on
Comp
Nick
gave
than
me one
anything
stock
else?
down. Tim Jones, stock way down. Another special teams penalty, drops everywhere. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
Kevin O'Connell, by the way, says after the game that really it's not definitive either way, but they're still evaluating this Jalen Naylor hand. They have not cleared him in any way. Like, they've not said that it's a not serious injury, which makes me think there's a chance they don't have Addison or Naylor in week 1. I think that opportunity is out there, which makes this wide receiver battle even more compelling and maybe even alarming.
Odell Beckham time?
Brandon
I mean,
Powell.
I'm on the Thielen train, but if you want to go,
Odell Beckham's out there.
Plenty more to come. Let's preview of the week ahead, right? Vikes head to Tennessee for the joint practices. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Yahoo Fantasy Sports. This year, myself and the entire squad, we're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league out there. Celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness. Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues. Killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the new season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, they still got head-to-head. They got private leagues. You can join a public league as well, but stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. By the way, full deep dive from this one on the Viking Squad Show with our guy, Arif Hassan. Make sure you make sure you subscribe. Keep up with all the actions, new episodes every Monday, every Thursday. Injury report real quick. Any injuries to shout out? Last week it was Rondell Moore. Obviously, you're just hoping to get out of these games healthy, by and large. But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any big news or notes as far as the injuries go today.
We had a Henry Bird limp off. Did he come back, though?
Okay.
I think he came back.
He did come, I think so, but that was about it.
Might have gotten replaced by Logan Brown. Something to watch for. I also don't think Henry Bird's making this team. So,
yeah.
I don't think anyone else, though. That's good.
What's next? What do you guys want to see more of? What's like a burning question now after two preseason games, a little bit bigger sample size. What do you guys want to see? What do you guys need to know heading into Tennessee all week? You got joint practices, then their final preseason game. That's Friday, by the way, next Friday at 7 p.m. What's some of the bigger questions you've got? Is it last week I brought up cornerback, Asante Samuel Jr.'s out there, Stephon Gilmore's still out there. What position group do you just you're scratching your head? We've talked about wide receiver ad nauseum. I feel like that's the obvious one. What's the next one outside of wide receiver / the return game, I guess?
So one quick point of order. I don't think there are going to be joint practices.
I think that's correct.
There was a plan to do them earlier in the spring, but it never materialized.
Got it. Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure on that because I can't find anything about it.
That feels right because I haven't heard anything about it. I just remember reading about it right away when the schedules and everything came out. Patriots joint, Tennessee joint. But as of late, past couple of weeks, I haven't heard one thing about it. So that could be right. That's you're probably more accurate than I am.
I'm still researching it, so let me double check it, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it is either. That'll be a Friday night game, so they'll probably take tomorrow off. They'll get only a couple practices in this week before this Titans game. I mean, we really have had the most consequential stuff has already happened. Like, yes, there's still evaluation going on, but now we're 2 games, 2 joint practices. We're 3-ish weeks now into camp. I mean, the meat of camp is done. Now we are into, you're kind of trying to finish strongly, but a lot of what the decisions that are going to be made, they've got a lot of the data on it. I think now we're kind of going on the off ramp into cut day and then into regular season prep.
The way this usually goes is like you have you have this sort of joint, the second week, the joint practices. And if you have another week of joint practices, you do that. That's your dry run, right? Where you get basically a ton of, and Kevin O'Connell even mentioned it on the sideline in the broadcast. You get a ton of run for the first team, which means the backup guys don't practice a lot that week. And then they come out sloppy and it's kind of, so Kevin O'Connell said, a lot of these guys didn't practice a lot this week. So there's some sloppy stuff. But then for that third week in that third game, it's all about who makes the team. It's all about who's on the practice squad. And you give the ones a whole bunch of time to rest. So I don't know how much in practice, which isn't going to be open to the public anyways, it might be pretty easy on the JJ McCarthy's and Justin Jeffersons and TJ Hawkinsons, guys like Naylor and Jefferson and Darisaw still coming off of their injuries. Let them rest, let them get, a nice kind of clean, easy week at the end, go into the bye, truly rest up, be fully ready for week 1, and then give all the time in the world to someone like Max Brosmer and get the best look that you can, or someone like Miles Price, who has added questions. So for me, what I'm watching for next week is those position battles we've talked about. Levi Drake Rodriguez, Taki Taimani, Elijah Williams. Pick one. And I don't think that decision is made. Miles Price, are we going to do this or not? That decision is not made. Max Brosmer, Sam Howell, Brett Rippon, I don't think that decision is made. You're cutting one of those guys. So I'm watching for all of that stuff next week.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Sam, look into your crystal ball a little bit more. You brought up Soldier Field week 1, Monday Night Football, bright lights, Ben Johnson versus KOC. What storyline or matchup maybe just kind of jumps out to you the most on paper now that we've seen a little bit bigger sample size through 2 preseason games?
This Vikings defensive line seems like the genuine article. The starters dominate, the backups dominate, and they're going against a totally revamped Bears offensive line and a quarterback that really got flustered last year behind a bad one.
4-way competition at left tackle, by the way. Braxton Jones is getting benched for undrafted rookies. It's a disaster.
So maybe not the most stable situation.
Well, the interior, though, right?
The
Braxton
interior
Jones
is
and
totally
Darnell,
new,
right?
yeah.
Were their 2 high draft picks, right? Or Braxton.
Yeah,
Jones
it's
was
on the
a great
outside
pick,
where you ask what can we get out of Darnell Wright, and then who is going to play against Jonathan Grenard at left tackle?
Could you argue, though, that these might be the 2 most improved on paper interior offensive lines in the entire National Football League? First round guard.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and then Chicago goes and gets Drew Dahlman from Atlanta. That was the top center in free agency for a lot of different schemes. Joe Thuney, the top guard, and then plucks who did they get? Jonah Jackson, I want to say. Jonah Jackson. So the 2 most improved interior offensive lines squaring off week 1. I say that because I know, and this is not lighting the world on fire here, but both teams, both coaches are going to want to pound the rock. They're going to want to take pressure off their young quarterbacks. We know KOC's talked about establishing a run game for JJ McCarthy all off season. I'm sure Ben Johnson wants to do the same. He wants to find his little Jamar Gibbs and Montgomery, David Montgomery, little thunder and lightning in Chicago, albeit he's probably not going to find it this year. But I'm assuming they're both going to try to establish the run with these new improved, interior offensive lines. But to your point, Luke, you're right. Major question marks for Chicago right now at left tackle. And when you got Jonathan Grenard and Van Gink and Dallas Turner coming to town, that could spell trouble for sure.
Yeah, the Vikings have some new pieces, but they've got arguably less new than Chicago does with the new coach, the new scheme, the new line, the new tight end, a lot of acquisitions. The Vikings added a lot of new stuff, but it was around a much more solid foundation. And it sounds like there's still a lot of bad reports about Caleb Williams and his technique and his decision making and a lot of stuff. So preseason game number 3, I don't feel like the Vikings have. The guys that you're going to see competing, these are guys 49 through 53 on the 53-man roster. I don't think we're going to see guys of a lot of consequence. They're going to field just enough to have a team. Probably going to get full runs from a lot of players like we did today, which is kind of refreshing. Even though you can't see the starters, it is nice to get a full 4-quarter sample size from some of these guys that are competing. So there's not just these 12-play outings and you really don't glean anything important. I think that we see kind of who they are. We see the ups, we see the downs, and I think we'll see more of it on Friday.
A quick break. Then we come back. We find out who had the biggest day in our fantasy preseason league. That's all coming up right after this. Okay, Gabe Murphy kind of stole the show from me last week. I'm a little out of the loop as far as tallying these scores up, just 30, 40 minutes after this game ended. Shout them out. Anybody feel like they stole the week? They won week 2 in our preseason fantasy league?
Well, the commissioner doesn't do live scoring. I don't know who the commissioner is exactly, whose responsibility that is to have this figured out. But I know my team of Trey Stewart, Miles Price, Thayer Thomas, Vaughn, Dawkins, Elijah Williams. Everybody contributed. Everybody did a little something for me this week. So I think Luke, you had LDR out. That hurt you. Silas Bolden didn't do much. Nesbitt was kind of a goose egg. So I think that I held my own a little better than last week. But Luke Inman with Jay Sean Jones, he's probably the top scorer of the week, I would guess.
Not Xavier Scott or Ty Felton?
Well, let me look. I don't think
I tried to pick up Thayer Thomas, remember? and he wasn't available.
It might be Tim Jones, who Arif dropped.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Xavier Scott, 2.8. He had like 10.2 fantasy points.
Just off of some PPR, some yards.
Xavier Scott.
I got a big comeback from Jonathan Harris at the end. He got a TFL, a couple of tackles right at the end of the game after I think being blanked all day. I got like a clutch one from Bryson Nesbitt at the end during that electric Max Brosmer drive, almost a fumble recovery touchdown. But Ty Felton and Xavier Scott continue to carry my team. I don't think I did enough though to make up the gap from Inman, who still gets a lot of tackles, I think, out of Dwight McGlothern. Maybe not for good reasons.
I'm going to show people the
and Bo Richter.
No sacks today. No sacks by the Minnesota Vikings defense. Whereas last week, again, Gabe Murphy was going off. Bo Richter had some good pressure, and some other guys, Jalen Redmond, etc. But no sacks. Couple TFLs, 4 tackles for loss, 1 for Gabe Murphy, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins with 1, Dwight McGlothern with 1, and then your guy, Luke, Jonathan Harris. Those are your 4 tackles for loss today as well. Go ahead, Sam.
How about
we didn't really talk about Gabe Murphy's day.
8 QB hits in 2 weeks for Gabe Murphy. 3 of them today.
Yeah. Big days.
He's entrenched, right? He's the 4.
Well, Ben Lieber on the broadcast said he might even be challenging for Dallas Turner. I don't buy that because he played the whole game and Dallas Turner didn't. And I think Ben Lieber's just getting a little bit too preseasoned out. But he's definitely pushing to be a major part of this rotation. Probably if Dallas Turner is the rotator for Van Ginkel, Gabe Murphy becomes the rotator for Grenard. Sounds like that's how it's going. And Bo Richter's probably active on mostly special teams.
Feels like when they had Everson and B-Rob and that great but then they had guys like Wanham just waiting in the wings, got a Pat Jones for a little bit waiting in the wings as well. They've just had such a good pipeline. Going from even Zimmer to KOC now with Brian Flores, such a good pipeline with this defensive line group, and specifically at edge rusher here as well. Gabe Murphy though entrenched, it feels like, as that number 4. Going to be interesting though for sure to see how they do rotate that and who he subs in and out for. Anything else? I'm just trying to unload the clip here.
Efton Chisholm. Let's give Efton Chisholm a little bit of love.
Flowers.
The real F-bomb of the day, Efton.
6 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown from, anybody know the school? I'll give you a hint.
Shot.
Cooper Cup.
Eastern Washington?
Eastern Washington.
With the red field, right? The red
Eastern Washington.
I had multiple missed tackles on McGlothern, and Vaughn got destroyed on that as well. That was a pretty rough one for all 3 of the corners that played most of the game.
The third down efficiency for New England, and this is they ended 12 of 20, which is 60%, unbelievably good. And I'm guessing at one point they were probably like 12 of 16. Like the third down tackling in particular in this game was so abysmal, and the 2 touchdowns that New England scored in the game were embarrassing efforts. And it's easy to chuckle because a lot of these guys are non-factors, but man, it was bad. It was, and
the coaches are going to be mad about it.
Yeah,
and it's going to decide who's making the team, who's getting jobs, who isn't getting jobs. Like it's an individual thing. Basically, the whole game, though, I think the Patriots were playing a team above what the Vikings were playing. The 1s were playing the 2s, the 2s were playing the 3s until the very end when the Vikings kind of started to pull it back. It started to look a little more even. So the global results, I mean, there's lots of reasons not to take that very seriously, but just in case anyone's worried that the Vikings couldn't score, the Patriots were playing like their guys.
Vikes fall to the Pats in game 2 of preseason action. KOC stole the show on the mic. Final score at the bank, 20-12. A huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game as well. Check out Ron, by the way, every Tuesday on the Ron Johnson Show. Luke, always killing it over on Locked On Vikings. Sam, host of the new and improved Viking Squad Show. Again, new episode dropping Monday morning. Don't miss that. Make sure you like and subscribe. So close to 10,000 subscribers. We'll see you next Friday. Vikings Titans. That's at 7 p.m. Final roster spots on the line. Elijah Williams, last plea to make the team. But until then, signing out.